So if you have attended the class yesterday, the first class, we have got an overview or big picture of what is DevOps, right? Like what is DevOps, what are all the skills we'll be learning here. The end of the course we have discussed. And I have just given you a very high level picture of the CI/CD pipeline, right? So in this CI/CD pipeline, if you see, right, like the first tool is the version control system Git. So let's begin with this first tool, version control system. Okay, we'll be learning this version control system from two perspectives. One is like, how do you use it to manage your files? How do you use it to version control your files? As well as how do you use it by integrating it with the pipeline as a DevOps person, right? So we will be learning end to end on Git from basics till advanced concepts. Then we will start integrating it into the pipeline. So let's begin with the version control system. Like I already mentioned, every topic will take up from basics till advanced. Some of you might be aware of what is a version control system. Some of you might be new to it, or else you might have worked with some other version control systems like SVN and all. So whatever it is, let's learn from the beginning and let's have our concepts clear, right? You need to have clarity on the concepts. So let's aim for it and let's begin. So first, let's understand what is a version control system. How many of you know what is a version control system? Can you raise your hand? Or how many of you are using it? Let me say, how many of you are using any version control system? You can raise your hands. Only 3 people were using some version control system, right? Okay. Yeah, total 3. All right. So some of you are using some version controls. Okay, 5 participants. Okay. So 5 of you are using version control systems. That's all. Anyone else? Any more? Okay, I could see 6. 8. That's good, not bad. Okay, 9. Okay, just let me know how many of you have used. Still people are responding. Let me know. Okay, everyone complete your response. So till now, 9 participants, 9 of you are using version control system. Good to know. So let us try to analyze what is a version control system is. Can any one of you, what is a version control system? Why do you need it? Anyone can answer.
It will allow us to track the code history in Git version.
Okay.
Also, it will allow us to work on a single code base with multiple developers.
Okay, you want a like you mean collaboration. Okay. All right. So let us try to understand what a version control system is in detail. For this, let me explain you a simple example. Let's suppose there is some project, okay? And let's say there is some project which is having some bunch of files. Let's say some 10 files or 20 files being worked on a couple of people. Okay, there were, let's say, some bunch of people working on this project. Just a second, pen is hanging. Okay, let's say there is a person A, okay, person B, multiple people working on it, and here there were so many files on this remote. Let's say this was some shared folder, okay, or a shared file where all the project work, all the project files were kept. Say I'm explaining a scenario where version control system is not being used, okay. So yeah, let's say this is some shared folder or shared drive where it was where they were having so many project files, and it was shared across multiple people in the team. Now let's suppose person A has to work on this file 1. Okay, so he downloaded this file to his system. Person B also downloaded the same file to his system and he was also making changes. Let's suppose this person A made these changes and he want to put this back on day 1. Okay, on the day 1 he put this file back. Then person B is still making his changes, and after his changes are done, he kept the file back on this remote location on day 2. So if that is the case, this file 1 on remote will have which person changes after day 2? Finally, this file will have which person changes on day 2? Person B changes, right? Obviously, because simple logic, person B changes are overwriting person A changes, correct? This person A changes were being overwritten by person 2. Sorry, person B. So even he doesn't know that he is doing, right? He is overwriting others' changes. He doesn't know that. Even A doesn't know his changes are overwritten by someone else. Because see, let's talk about a development team. These are all developer A, developer B. They were making some changes. They will be working on their logic. They'll be working on their code. They can't check whether their code is saved properly or not, or someone else is overriding. They can't look on these things, right? So how to handle this? If this happens in real project and if this keep on continuing, let's say there's a team of 10 people, there might be hundreds of files. If this keep on going, the project gets messed up, corrupted at some point of time, correct? So how to handle this scenario? Means we need a system which can help multiple people working on the same files at the same time. Means it should allow people or developers working on the same file parallelly, simultaneously at the same time. What is that system? That's nothing but a version control system. Means if you have used version control system, it will not allow this overwriting, or else it will not ignore the changes. It will inform you, okay, so and so person changes are there in conflict. It will inform you, but it will not overwrite, right? So first thing is it will allow multiple people collaborate. Well, the team should collaborate first, right? All developers should collaborate, should work parallelly, simultaneously on the same code base or on the same files. So version control system will allow you achieve this, right? Not only this, let's suppose, okay, application is working fine till today till 7 o'clock, right? 7:30 something happened, application got crashed, something went wrong. We need to immediately put the system back so that business end users will not be affected. I want to bring the system back immediately to the previous state. So I should know what happened in between, right? From 7 to 7:30, what changes went in there. I need a detailed logging, right? The detailed logging in such a way that it should tell person A made changes on file 1 on line number 9 at 7:15 or at 7:25 a.m. Means a detailed logging which will give you all the information so that you identify it, you remove these changes, system should be back, right? Again, this cannot be done manually, right? Like I said, they'll be working on their logic, they'll be working on their requirements with the client. They can't check they are logging or managing, securing their code. So we need a system which can help you with the detailed logs, right? That's the second thing. And also there were many things which a version control system can help you. Let's suppose, okay, they were working on version 1 of this file 1, right? Client came up with a version 2 of this file. Means client suggested they need some modifications. I need a version 2 of this file 1. Let's suppose a developer has overwritten this file or removed this version 1, made a new version 2. Okay, version 2 of file 1 is there. But after 6 months, client may want to revert back, isn't it? Sometimes if this doesn't work or else they did not like these features, they may want to go back to the previous version, previous application, right? How is that possible? We have deleted it. Don't ever delete the versions. Don't ever edit the versions. Have the backups, maintain the backups or maintain the versions. How is that possible? Again, through a version control system. Means version control system is something which can allow you to which will help the team to work simultaneously parallelly on the same files. It helps you with the logging, it helps you to have backups, versions of your code, right? All of them are possible through version control system. Much beyond that, we will learn all of them. These are some of the features of a version control system, right? So you might be asking, okay, it's all about developers. Developers write the code, so they need this version control system. Why should I learn as a DevOps person, right? See, version control systems nowadays being used by everyone. Everyone in IT should learn it. Even though you are not a DevOps person, you should learn it. Because see, even DevOps person will have the configuration files like Kubernetes manifest files, Ansible config files, Terraform files. All of them should be version controlled, isn't it? Of course, developers, it's mandatory. They'll have a lot of program files. Even testers should know it. They were writing automation test scripts, automation test cases. Even any static files can be version controlled by this version control system. Any static files. It need not be only Java or .NET or Python. Any scripts, any static files can be version controlled. Even in your, let's say in your laptop, you want to manage, you want to maintain your files in a better way. You can learn Git and version control them, right? So it's to manage your files. Anyone in IT should learn it. And yes, as a DevOps person, we'll be using it. Developers will use it to maintain their repos. Their testers will use it. Everyone should learn it. So first, we will learn this version control system from the perspective of managing our files. Let's say I have Terraform config files. I want to version control them. I want to have logging because a team of 5 members of DevOps persons might be working on it, right? So first we will learn version control system to manage our files. Then later we will learn to integrate in the pipeline for CI/CD. Okay. So that's the first agenda. That's why we were learning version control system. Hope that's clear for you. It need not be just the program files or something like that. It could be any file. So we will learn first how to version control our files with the this version control system. And now that we understood what is a version control system and who should learn it, let's talk about the types of version control systems. See, based on their architecture, they were categorized actually into different types, like we understood what is a version control system, and based on their architecture, they were categorized as centralized version control systems and distributed version control system. Before I go to that point, any questions in this part? Understood everyone what is a version control system? Can I go on? A quick confirmation will help me. You can message or you can unmute and speak out. Can we proceed? Or any questions from anyone? All right, then. Thank you for the responses in the chat. Thank you. All right, now let's talk about the first type of version control system, which is centralized version control system. See, here is the architectural diagram for centralized version control system. If you see that this is the remote repository or the central server, whatever you call it, where all the project base, all the code base is kept, right? This is the remote repository or central repository where all the project or where all the code base is kept. Now, this is the workstation of individual developer or individual DevOps person, whoever you consider. Okay, it might be a DevOps person or it might be a developer or tester, whoever it is. Right, this is the workstation of each person, like developer 1, developer 2, and so on. They will have a copy, means if they have to modify anything, they'll download the file to their local computer, make the changes, and put it back. This is a simple architecture of centralized version control system. Okay, like see, this is the working copy, means they get the files, make the changes, put it back, right? This is a centralized version control system, which is having a few drawbacks. First drawback is to work with this kind of architecture, you always need to have network connectivity, isn't it? Always network connectivity should be there. You need to have network connections to connect to the remote. Let's suppose there is no network disconnected, you don't have network connection, entire work will be halted, right? That's the first drawback. Second thing is this works like a single source of truth, right? All the code base is kept here. For some reasons, if the central server is crashed or gone, entire data is lost, right? Chances of recovery are very less. These are the two limitations or the drawbacks of the centralized version control systems, right? To overcome this, we have another type of architecture called distributed version control systems. Let me show you the distributed so that you understand the difference. Let me show you this. Yes. See here the distributed architecture. If you see here, there are two repositories. One is central server or remote repository. And this is the workstation of each individual collaborator or each DevOps person. This is the workstation. Or means, let's say this is my laptop, my local computer, right? This is remote server. Remote or central server, where all the project work is kept. And this is the workstation of individual user. And every user will get a copy from this remote repository or central repository. Every user will get a copy of it. This is the one. This is the copy of a remote repository, right? Which is called local repository. Means every user will have their own copy of the remote repository, which is called as local repository. This is called as local repository. Again, they don't work on this local repository directly. They'll work on some other directory called as working directory or working copy. They make the changes here actually. And then they push to local repository. From local, they'll push to remote. It's like a 3 steps before your changes go to remote repository, right? What is the use of it? What is the advantage? And remember, unless they push the changes to remote, their changes are confined only to themselves. Like if, let's say my changes are in local, they are confined only to myself. Unless I push them to remote, no one else can see the changes, right? What is the advantage of it? How it overcomes the challenges of a centralized version control system? See, the first thing here is in this kind of architecture, let's suppose you don't need network connection always. You need network connection when you have to move your changes to remote or get the changes from remote. See here, pull and push. Only then you need this network connection, right? Let's suppose network connection is not there, network disconnected. You can still work on this local, isn't it? You can still work on this working directory or working copy, isn't it? Work is not halted. Entire work is not halted. You can still continue the work. Only once only once you want to push or pull, you need network connectivity, right? Also, pull and push happens less frequently. Majority of the work happens in local. Once your complete work is done, then only you push to remote, isn't it? When you push to remote means others can also see your changes. So network connectivity is not a problem. Even though network connectivity is not there, you can still continue work in local repository. That's one thing. Second thing is, let's suppose the central server is gone or crashed, something happened. Because everyone is having a copy of it, which is called local repository, chances of recovery are more, right? That's another advantage, or that's how it overcomes the challenges or drawbacks. Chances of recovery are more. Right. So that's how it eliminates the drawbacks of centralized version control system. Also, this kind of distributed architecture works a bit faster because, like I said, majority of the times you work on local. Local means local repository means you just need to access your hard drive. That's all. Right. So this is how version control systems work. And yes, our Git falls under this distributed version control systems. All the modern DevOps projects implements or uses this distributed version control systems like Git. We will not get complete copy of remote into our local in the first type of centralized version control systems, Avinash. We'll just get the files, whichever you want to modify, make the changes and put them back. Recovery, right. Okay, Pavan, I'm repeating about recovery. See, because here you are having remote repository, local repository. Local repository means which is a copy of remote. Every user is having that copy, right? So even though central server or remote server is gone, because every user is having a copy of the remote, which is local repository, chances of recovery are there, right? You can retrieve it from the local repository. So chances of recovery is more. Distributed version control system works faster and they work more efficiently. They are the one which suits a modern DevOps project. Any questions in this architecture? Both the types clear for everyone. Any questions in this part? And if you talk about, yes, please.
Ma'am, I have a question related to repository, local repository.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when the user push the code to the server or any file to the main server, then only it's visible to others, right?
Yes.
Till it's there, the repository, it's visible to individual only, right?
Yes, yes. This is your local system. This is confined only yourself for yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Only once you push your changes to remote, others can see. Means if you want to share your changes, then push to remote. Otherwise, no one can see your changes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
In real time, does everyone have access to server repository?
Remote repository, yes. Yes, individual users, like let's say you are developer to that project, you will have access to this remote to pull the changes, because see, so many developers will push the changes. You need to get the complete code, right? So you will get those copy into your local. Yes. Direct commits you will not have. That will be restricted. We'll talk about them. Directly you can't push to remote. You will raise a PRs. Those things we will learn. But the
Yeah,
concept
Preeti,
is
I have
yes.
a doubt here.
Hmm.
Yeah, you told that right in the central repository, if the central server is collapsed, there may be a very less chances of recovery.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, even here also this may be the problem, right? You see, if I have the three resources and the three local copies are there, and they will check in. I mean, they will modify the code at their local repository first, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, before pushing the data to the actual server, if the server crashes, again the three resources have three different code, right?
But chances of recovery are there, right? Unlike earlier, everyone is having a copy. It's not that we don't have any code, we lost everything. We are having a copy. Inconsistency may be there. Maybe a few commits may be missing, but the whole repository copy is there, right? Everyone is having a copy. Chances of
Yeah,
recovery are more.
yeah. In anyway, in the real-time scenarios, we will have the storage backup. What is the
We will have
mm,
it. Just it's an overall added advantage over centralized version control systems. You'll have a backup, you'll have everything. But still, in case if it is lost, still chances are high in this case of distributed version control systems. Right?
okay?
Distributed
Now,
version control systems. Yes.
yeah, are we talking about here the on-prem version control system or a cloud version control system?
What is that? Can you repeat, please?
No, are we this version control system which you are you know providing the details? Is it part of a cloud related or on-prem?
This is
On-premise.
not related to cloud, specific to cloud or prem. This is a general topic. Okay, we are talking about version control systems. That's all. It's not related to cloud or on-prem. It's a general topic. See, we have understood the architecture of both. Which tools falls under the centralized version control systems? SVN, TFS, Perforce, these falls under centralized version control systems. Then Git comes under distributed version control system. Git, Mercurial, Fossils. These comes under distributed version control systems, out of which Git is very widely used, and we are going to master Git in this course, right? So yeah, we have learned the architecture of these tools in general. Let's talk about architecture of Git in particular. As we are learning Git, let's talk about Git architecture in particular. Before that, this is the Google Trends graph comparing different version control systems. This is a graph from 2020. You can also get the latest graph from Google, and see here comparison of Git with other version control systems like SVN, TFS, Fossils. The blue one is for Git. You can see Git is the market leader in this category, right? That's the reason we are learning Git. If you learn Git, you can also work on other tools very easily. The concepts would be similar, terminology may be different. All right. Now let's get into the architecture of Git. All right, so see here, like we understood some time back, let me show you here. See, we were talking about there's a local repository and remote repository, right? See, this is the local repository, which would be present on every one system. And this is the remote repository. Okay, and first come here to local. Like I said, we don't directly work on this local repository. Rather, we will work on some other directory or a folder. If you are a Windows person, let's say it's a folder. You work on some other working directory, some other folder, and it's not that you directly push from here to local. This is not possible. No, this is not possible. Then you have to move your changes to some other area called staging area. What is the staging area? This is called a staging area or index area. Right, whatever you call it, staging area or index area. First, you have to move your changes to staging area. It's a virtual layer actually. It's a virtual layer where you have to move your changes. Once you move your changes to staging area, from there you can move to local. You cannot directly from working directory to local. No, this is not possible. Right? Only from staging area you can move to local. So this is the architecture of Git. But you may be having a question, why do you need the staging area? What is its importance? Isn't it? The importance of this staging area is that it works like a pre-check or else preview, or else it gives you better control on what changes goes to local. Let me give you a small example. See, we will be doing complete hands-on on this. I'm explaining the architecture theoretically. We will do hands-on. I'll show you all of that practically in few minutes today. Okay. Until then, so yeah, let's try to understand this. Let's suppose in a working directory I have 10 files. Okay, maybe some Ansible config files or Terraform files, whatever it is. Here we are not bothered about which file it is because Git works with any type of file. So okay, let's say I have 10 files here. Now I want to put only 5 files to local repository because only 5 configuration files were completed. So only those 5 files I'll move to staging. So I will have a better control, or else I'll have a better pre-check, or else preview on what changes goes to local. I need not push every 10 files to staging, then only 5 files to local, which makes the thing so confusing. I can decide, I can pre-check my changes which goes to local by moving them to staging area. So it works like a preview or a pre-check, which helps you have a better control on which changes you are moving to local. Okay, we will see those things practically, but that's the importance of staging area or index area. See, we will learn so many Git commands. What is Git add, Git commit? We will learn all of them. Okay, don't bother or worry about the commands now. Just understand, yes, first you have to move your changes to staging area, from staging area to local repository, from local to remote. That's a Git architecture. This is called Git tree. That's how you push your changes. This is called Git tree. So first from working directory to staging, staging to local, and local to remote. Okay, that's the first thing you have to understand. Next thing is, let me talk about how do you create a local repository, right? In your system, right? It's present in your local system. So how do you create it? There are multiple use cases to do this. Let me explain you those use cases. First use case is, assume that you joined the project, you joined an organization, a new company, you joined a project. It's a DevOps project. Already it's a 1-year-old, let's say, DevOps project. Means there were already Terraform files, a Jenkins file, or Ansible config files. All of them were present there. Already a remote repository was there where all this code base is there. Now you have to make some modifications. So how do you do that? You get a copy from remote, okay, into local and create a local repository. This is one method, one use case. Second might be, the scenario is, yes, you joined a project again, a new project, new company, a project. It was a new team, means there is no DevOps before, they want to implement it. Or else you joined as a developer, it was a new project. There is nothing you have to develop from the scratch. There is nothing on remote. Am I making sense? Right? So there is nothing on remote. So what they'll do, they will create an empty local repository on their system. Right, then develop the code, develop the files, whatever, whether it is a code or whether it is a configuration files for developed by DevOps team, whatever it is. You develop your local repository, then push to remote. That could be another use case. Am I making sense? Shrikant, your question will be answered in few minutes about Git and GitHub. Got it, all of you? Appreciate your quick responses. Good to go. So these are the two use cases. I'm explaining these two use cases. Yes, please.
Could you please repeat again first point? Create local
Sure.
repository.
See, local repositories are the copy of remote which resides on your system. That's what we have learned, right? Again, there were different ways or different use cases how you create local repository. It depends. Means, let's say you joined a project. It's some couple of year-old project. It's a 2-year-old project. It's not a new one. Already project is running. You joined as a DevOps person then, right? Already some Terraform files, Sensible files were there on the remote, which is shared across the team. So you will be given permissions to that repo. You can copy from that remote and create a local repository. Basically, I'm talking about how do you create local repository. It's a two ways. One is copy from remote. The use case is like already project is there. You join the team now. You can just copy from there, create a local repository. Or else it's a new project. You create an empty local repository, develop or create the files there, then push to remote. Got it, everyone?
Yes, got it.
We will discuss both of them. Practically, we will see how to do that. How do you copy and create local, or how do you create an empty? Both of them we'll see. First, we'll start with the second use case. Okay. So just remember this thing, this point. Okay. This is one thing. That's how local repository can be created. This yellow box. Okay. Next thing is, I would like to tell you another interesting aspect of this. See, till now we were talking about, yes, there is a working directory, there is a local repository and all. I told you, imagine them as some directories or folders in your system. But practically speaking, this working directory, local repository is one and the same folder or directory, whatever you call it. Then you may be wondering, if it is the same folder, how can you say working directory and local repository? Isn't it? Yes, it is one and the same. Logically, I mean, like logically they are different, right? Actually, in reality, it's the same folder, but logically they are different. How they were different? Physically, it's the same folder, but logically they are different. How they are different logically? What does it mean? Let me explain you. See, this is a folder. Let's suppose this is the local repository. I'm saying local repository, working directory, both are same. Staging area is virtual layer, both are same folder. Then how come you call it as working directory? How come you call it as local repository? Let me tell you. Suppose you go to this folder, okay, create a file here. Just simply created a file or copied a file somewhere, means you just place the file. Means it is set to be in the working directory. You call it, okay, file is in the working directory. But after placing the file, if you run git add, then it is set to be in the staging area. Or else, after doing this, if you commit the change, then you say it is in the local repository. Physically, it's one and the same directory or same folder. Logically, that's how it's different. See, having clarity on this concept is very important, because in the projects we see people working on Git, they pull, they push, they commit, they do everything, but they lack these concepts, which leads to a lot of confusion, with which they cannot do any troubleshooting if any problem comes in. So learn this concept with the clarity. Git is a bit confusing maybe initially for beginners, but learning that with clarity, you can play with Git. You can enjoy working with Git. And there is a question from Avinash. Avinash says, if the project is new, can't we create the repository directly on the remote server and then copy it to local machine? You can create a repository directly on the remote, an empty repository. What is the point in copying the empty repository to local? Isn't it? Simple logic. You can create an empty repository on remote, but what is the point in copying it? So hope that helps you with your question. Understood the architecture and these things, everyone. If you understood this theoretically, conceptually, we shall go and see this practically. Whatever I have explained here, I'll show you practically. Each and every point I'll show you. Any questions here in this part from anyone? Am I clear? I want each and everyone to understand thoroughly. You might be working with some other version control system. You might be working with Git. Just learn it with an open mind. Let's get into it with open mind. Just try to understand. Just try to interact. Let's make the sessions more interactive. Okay, so thank you all for confirming. Let's get to see how all this works in reality. Let's install Git and see. Here I can tell you this local version control system is your Git. This remote repository is nothing but your GitHub or Bitbucket or GitLab. Some of you are asking about differences between GitHub, Bitbucket and all. So your remote can be your GitHub, Bitbucket or GitLab. All of them are similar. Remote repository is nothing but an online management system where you can host your local repositories and share it with the team. GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab comes under this remote repositories. If you know GitHub, you can work with any other and vice versa, right? I have experience working with Git. Some projects we use GitHub and some of them use Bitbucket. There's nothing much difference. If you know one, you can work with others very easily. So yeah, we will look into those parts as well. Okay, just giving you a difference. Now let's go install Git and see how to create a local repository. First, I would take up the second use case. Like assume there's a new project. Okay, there's nothing on remote. I'll create it locally, develop the files, then move to remote. Okay, so let's get started with this scenario. Git is your local version or else your local repository, Pawan, right? It is a version control system, whereas GitHub is a online management system where you host your local repositories, right? Git is your version control system. GitHub is where you can host your version control systems, like to share it with others. You have a local Git repository, you host it on GitHub so that you can share it with others. We will see all of them. Okay, I'll show you GitHub. I'll see how you host it on GitHub. Everything we will see practically. Now, let's go and install Git. Before installing it, let me tell you, Git works on multiple operating systems. It works on Windows, it works on Linux, Mac. It works on every operating system, majority of them. And here we are getting started with Windows. See, if you know Git, commands are same, whether you use it on Windows or Linux, commands are same, concepts are same, only installation steps may differ, that's all. So first let's get started with Git on Windows. And once we start Linux, we'll also see how it works on Linux. It would be same like I said. Okay, now let us install Git. Installing Git is very simple. See, I would suggest you to go through the process. What I mean is, so give me a second. How do you install it? Git? Don't save the links or just don't save the download links and do it. At any point of time, you should be able to do it. So just see the process. Go to Google and do Git download. You don't need to save the links and all. Always the official websites, official references are the preferred ones for any tool. Let it be Docker or anything for any references. Always the official ones, gitscm.com. See here downloads, whether it is your Mac or Windows or Linux, choose the respective operating system. Mine is Windows. I would like to go for this. And here you can download this Windows. It's an executable. EXE will be downloaded. You have to run the EXE. It's just a self-explanatory thing, right? I have already installed it. I don't want to do it again, but it is as simple as that. But still, if you need steps on it, here is the documentation with a complete screenshots. See, when you download the exe, you all know how to download an exe and run it, right? So just download it and run it. These are the steps you will see. Go to Windows. This is the executable. Double click the executable. Hit on yes, next, and so on. That's it. Keep on hitting next. That's all. With all these few steps, you will see Git installed, right? It's just as simple as that. So I'm not going with this now. I have already it in my Windows. So once it is installed, go to the start menu and run git bash. Git bash is a terminal which provides you some bash environment to run the commands. See, this is the one. Okay. That's the one. Once you install Git on Windows, you can see this terminal. Now, let us start working with Git. See, Git is installed. To confirm, you can run the command git --version. So that's a version of Git install. Any steps in this? Sorry, any questions in this installation? Yes. You already have the terminal on Mac, Avinash. You don't need a separate installer for it. When you go here for Mac, with the brew command, you can install it. Through the CLI, you can use it. You don't need a separate bash for it. Yes, Nagraj, we are using the CLI only. We are not using UI. See, if you learn UI, you will never learn the CLI. So we'll not be using GUI here. No user interface we'll be using here. We'll be using CLI only. Because if you learn GUI, you will never learn the CLI. Here is how you have to install GUI. If you want to install GUI, CLI is command line interface, Ravi. Means from the commands we'll do. GUI means you will get the graphical user interface to click and drop. You can use it. That will not help you learn any tool. So always prefer CLI, command line. Okay. So, okay, fine. Git is installed in our system. Right? Git is installed. Now, okay, fine. Git is installed on my system, but I want to version control my project. Where is your project? Right? You may choose some project, some folder which you want to version control, or else, like I said, let's take a second use case. It's a new project, right? I joined the project today. There's nothing on remote. I have to develop some files, or else there's a team of people. So everyone will develop. Everyone is given some task. Let's say I'm given some task on Terraform. Someone is given some Terraform other configs. So they will be working on their task locally. Okay. So I will first create a local repository, right? How do you create a local repository? First, create a directory. See, this is a CLI. So if you want to create a directory, this is Windows system. You may just go to your, I'm going to create a directory on desktop. I want to maintain project here. New folder.
In this command, what is meant by MG?
Git demo, where is it? That's a folder, that's a path where you are. I'll show you, just give me a minute. See here, I have created a folder. You know this Windows, right? So I have just created a folder. I want to put all my project work here. Means I want this directory to be version controlled by Git. Okay, I went into this directory. So this is the GUI part. Means in Windows, you have graphical user interface, everything you do this way. But CLI means from here, if you want to do, how do you go to this directory? Copy the address. Okay. CD means change directory. If you have bit of Linux, you can do this. You may already know this. Or else I'm showing you, this is a bit of a bash environment. Like you will be using small Linux. Or like how do you use your command prompt? You know command prompt, right? Everyone in your Windows. If you do CMD, you get a command prompt. How do you work in this command prompt? Right? A similar way here. Right? CD. Now I went into this directory. See, this shows you the path. Where are you? Got it? Some of you are asking, what is this? This is the path. If you are using GUI in Windows, you will just go to the Windows and do this way. You can do this way or else this way. This is the preferred approach. Okay. So fine, we are in this folder, but this is empty. It's not having anything. Now I want to put the files here. I want to version control this particular folder. Means whatever files I'm going to have here need to be version controlled by Git. So means I have to create this as a local repository. I want this to be my local repository. How to create an empty local repository? Some time back we were talking about, right? How do you create a local repository? Two use cases. So I'm talking about the second use case, this one. Making sense, everyone? I'm doing this one, second part. How do you create an empty local repository? How do you create an empty local repository? Go to the directory, whichever you want to make a local repository. I want to make this as a local repository because I'm going to put my
Just
files
creating a folder in the desktop.
Right. I just created a folder on the desktop and I want to make that folder as a local repository because I'm going to keep all my config files there. Understood? So how do you do that? Git init, initialize Git. right? Means start Git. Say Git is installed in your system, but you should tell Git which folder or which directory it should version control. Whichever folder, whichever directory its version control is nothing but your local repository, right? So go to the directory, whichever you want to make a local repository, or whichever directory or wherever you want to keep all your project files, go to the directory and do Git in it. It says initialize empty Git repository, means it is telling you empty local repository was created. Means this Git demo is nothing but your local repository. How do you know that? ls, see the hidden files, ls-a. Through CLI, ls-a will show the hidden files. If you don't know CLI, no worries. You just check here. View hidden files. Hidden items were there, so just refresh it. Go to Git demo. Right? You are seeing .git folder, correct? You are seeing .git folder means this is nothing but your local repository. Understood everyone? Whoever asking few questions some time back. I don't remember the name. So you are seeing .git folder means this Git demo is a local repository. You have created an empty local repository. From now onwards, whatever files you create in this directory will be version controlled by Git. There are no files. Shall we create some file and see how it works? Good to go? I will wait for your responses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
everyone.
this will be the working directory as well, right?
Yes, yes, correct. This will be your local repository. Sometime back we discussed. Same folder is a working directory. Same folder is also your local repository.
Okay.
Right? Vamsi asked me to explain again. Vamsi, we have installed Git. That's clear, right? On my Windows machine, I have installed Git. Then I need my project files in some folder. I'll put all my project files in my folder, and that folder should be version controlled by Git, right? So you create some folder. I have created a folder called Git demo. You give some project name, whatever you want. This folder I want to version control by Git, or else this is the folder I want to make a local repository. So go to that folder and run the command Git in it. Whenever you do Git in it, at the back end, a .git, a hidden folder will be created. If you are seeing .git in any folder means that's your local repository. I have so many local repositories in my system. See here, .git, this is one local repository. This is another local repository. See .git. They might be mapped to some other remote repositories. Okay, guestbook, PHP, this is another application, another code .git, right? So many local repositories. Got it, everyone? Okay. So I'm working, forget about multiple repositories. Okay, just I want to show you an example. If you are seeing .git means it's a Git local repository. Is this point clear for all? Now, if you keep adding any files here, all of them will be version controlled by Git. Let me create some file here. Okay, right click, new. Okay, create some file. Give some name. I'm just creating dummy files. I'm not bothered about whether it is Java or whether it is Terraform file, whatever it is. Here, our intention is to learn version controlling. So I'm simply creating a text files. Okay, just created a text file. Now, in this text file, I would also like to place some content. Give me a second. Okay, some dummy lines. If you want, you write some Terraform configuration, whatever. Later on, we will add the actual files. For now, just a dummy file done. Okay, so now a file is there. If you want to see the same from CLI, ls. Okay, you need not give the extension here actually. I have given the extension. That's okay. Let it be whatever with the extension. See the same CLI, and this is the GUI. Like in Windows, you can see this. Fine. Now I have created a file. Can you tell me where is this file? Is it in a working directory or is it in local repository?
Working directory.
Everyone, I want answers from everyone. Some time back I told you,
Working directory.
always refer to this architectural diagram. Local repository, working directory is one and the same. Physically, it's the same. Logically, it's different. How logically it's different? I just created a file means it's set to be in the working directory. Do you want to confirm? Let's suppose I don't know anything about Git. How do you confirm? Git status. Git status tells you untracked file, file 1. Means Git know there is a file. Okay, Git knows, okay, there is a file. But Git cannot track it. It's saying, see, there is a file, but Git cannot track it. To track it, add it. What you should do? Git add file name. Git add and file name. Then where will be this file? What do you say then? Where is your file? Let me run this. Now, where is your file?
Staging area.
See, always keep this architectural diagram in your mind. This should be in your mind. Always think with respect to this architectural diagram and tell me. From working directory, you have run git add. Means where does those changes goes to?
Staging area.
Clear command will clear the screen. Then if you again run git status, changes to be committed, not yet committed. They are yet to be committed. Means where are they? In the staging area. If you want to commit them, git commit -m. M is for message. Message is mandatory, like comments. Some comment like first file or whatever. This is mandatory. Now it is good if you do git status. Now it says working tree is clean. Working tree means I told you, right? This is called git tree. So as whatever changes you have, they were all moved to the local repository. It says working tree is clean. Where are your changes now? Where are your changes now?
Local
In the
repository.
local repository. They did not go to remote yet. We'll go to remote. There are lot many things you have to learn before they go to remote. So that's how your changes moves from working directory to staging area, from staging area to local repo. You cannot directly jump on. Okay, let me show the same with another example so that things should be clear. First, ls. ls will show the files in that folder. That's a basic Linux command. Git ls files will show the files in the local repository. Right? Only one file is there in the local. We can bring the files back, Pavan. I'll also show you reverting, bringing the changes back. First, let's learn the straightforward, then we'll do undo. Okay. So yeah, there is one file. Let's create one more file and see how it works. Okay. So that things should be more clear. New text, let's say file 2. Okay. I have created another file. I don't have any content, but let it be. Now ls will show you 2 files, but git ls files. See, file 2 is not seen. Can you tell me now where is file 2? Huh?
Working directory.
Yeah. So file 2 is in the working directory. Also, can you tell me what is the working directory here? Which folder is called working directory?
Git demo.
Git demo. What is the local repository?
Git demo.
Git demo itself. These are the things you need to have clarity on. Okay, fine. So file 2 is in the working directory. So see git status. What does status tells us? Untracked. See, untracked, because git will not track it. Git know there is a file, but it will not track it. What it will tell you? It will keep on asking you to add it to a virtual layer, index area or a staging area. Git add file name. Done. Now if you see again status, changes to be committed. Means where is this file? Where is this file to now?
Staging area.
Staging area. Now if you want to commit, how to do that?
Git commit.
Git commit.
Git commit
dash
-m.
-m.
Something like M for message. Git ls files will list the files in the staging area and the local repository. Second file. Right now, if you do git ls will show you files whichever present in the local repository or staging area. Now the file is there. You can see it listed under git ls files. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's how your changes moves from working directory to staging, from staging to local. Hope all the discussion which I explained theoretically was clear now. The architecture? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, whatever we discuss, like physically it's the same, logically it's different, and you create local repository by an empty local repository. This is what later on we'll push to remote. But like I said, before we push to remote, there are lot many things you have to do on local. So first let's learn it, then we'll push to remote. Okay, fine, we have created some files. We have created new files. It's not always a new file, right? It may be a change also, like it may be modification. Shall we look into modifying a file? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not always new file. Maybe you have to modify the existing files. Yeah. Let's open this file one. Right. You may modify here. See, I'm using Notepad here, right? You can use different editors of your choice. In interviews or else from DevOps perspective, they were also looking for experience on editors. Like I said, we'll be creating Terraform config files or a Kubernetes manifest files, whatever it is. You need a better editor, right? Rather than, can you do it in a Notepad this way? Very unprofessional, right? So there is an editor which supports all these files. Any programming, any scripting can be managed by this version, can be managed by this editor, which is nothing but Visual Studio Code. Companies were looking for experience on hands-on with these editors as well. Visual Studio Code, that's an editor, right? See here, go to Visual Studio Code. This gives you flexibility and ease to modify your files. Okay, this is the one. Depending on your operating system, again, you can install it. Mine is Windows. Download it and just open that. That's all. I have already installed this editor. Even this editor download link, everything is present in the Google Drive, which you'll get access to. So once this is installed, this is how you can launch your editor. From the start menu, pin it to your taskbar. Okay, now whichever folder you want, just open it. Mine is Git demo, right? So just go here, go to the desktop, open this. Right, you can see all the files, their content, everything here. A better editor, isn't it? Rather than editing into the notepad, this is better. It has got lot many advantages. Another advantage is we are using this Git bash window here. You can also launch that Git bash here. Go to terminal, new terminal. By default, it will open the PowerShell or command prompt. This is PowerShell terminal. Go here, Git bash. When you install Git bash is installed, you can also launch it from here. Same way like you are using, you can use it here. Got it, everyone? Everything you can use in the same window. Okay, which is better and convenient, isn't it? So use this. You should get hands-on experience on this as well. So start using this editor rather than using notepads and all. Okay, this is just an editor. Okay, now let's talk about modifications. We were modifying it, right? Let's go ahead. Good to go, or any questions? Can I go on? Okay.
Yep.
So on this file, till now we were creating new files. Let's modify, means I'm just adding some line. Dummy lines I'm adding. Like I said, you may write some scripts, configurations. If you need anything, if you want, you can do a new line. Okay, see, this is another advantage of VS Code editor. At the back end, you can see if you keep the cursor, it says it's a modified. That's another advantage of using this editor. All right, now run git status like we learned. See, it tells you changes not staged. Means, see, remember one thing, Git works with respect to changes. That change could be creating a new file, that change could be modifying the file, or else the change could be deleting the file, whatever it is. The concept is same. Means any change will first go into the working directory. Then you have to move the change to staging area, then to local. The concept is same. Got it. Now tell me, where is this modification now? I made a modification. Is the modification in working directory or yeah,
Working directory.
it is in the working directory. Not stage. Unstaged means it is in the working directory. Do you see the difference? Earlier it used to show you untracked, but now it's showing unstaged. What is the difference between unstaged and untracked? Another important question if they want to check your concepts, your knowledge in Git. What is the difference between untracked change, unstaged change? Both are in working directory, isn't it? Untracked means, yes, it's in working directory. Unstaged is also in working directory, right? But what is the difference? Not staged means unstaged. What is the difference? Important from the perspective of
not
interview.
yet saved.
Saved. File is saved, right? You say saved or staged?
Untracked files, Git doesn't know about it existed.
Means, see, this is for the first time. It's a new file. For the first time you created, it was not added to staging area. So it will give you untracked. Unstaged means file is already there in staging area. Correct? Earlier we have added it. But certain modifications were there. Then it will show you like unstaged. Got the point? Everyone? I want responses, answers from each and every one of you. All
Yes,
the
got it.
participants. Right? These are important from the point of interview as well. For you to troubleshoot the things, for you to understand it to the core, you need to know what is that. Untracked means new file. I did not add it to staging. Unstaged means file is already staged, but certain modifications were there. Yep. Got it, Avinash? I repeated it. Okay. So now what you should do again the same, like git add file name. Okay. Then if you do git status, it tells you changes to be committed, right? It is not telling you unstaged. Changes were staged, right? Now what you have to do, git commit -m. Okay. And here you can do one more thing. I'll show you once again. First, let me do this. Let's say file modified or whatever. Okay, done. So now if you do git status, it will show you it's clean. Okay, done. All right, here I would like to show you one more thing. Which terminal, Pawan? Here PowerShell you can select. Here in this drop down you can select Git Bash. Okay, I'll come to the terminal again if you want. Let me show you one more interesting thing. I'm again modifying it. A new line added, something like this. Okay. Now tell me, where is this third line? Where is this change? And what would be the Git status message showing us?
Unstaged.
Unstaged, and that will be in the staging area. Sorry, it will be in the working directory. Now I have to move them to staging. Now what I can do is I can add and commit with a single line this way. Add, commit. I need not do git add and git commit separately. Understood? I can do this way. I can do -a -m only for unstaged. If it is untracked, I have to do separately only. Understood? If it is untracked, I can't do -a-m. I have to do git add, then git commit only. I can't do with a single command. If it is unstaged, I can do either ways. Earlier, I have shown you git add, git commit, or else I can do it with a single command like git commit. A means add and commit. I can do this. Got it? For unstaged, I can do either ways, but for untracked, I have to do it separately only. Right? So let me show you this now. -a-m. Done. Same. Right? Got it clear?
Yes.
So by now we have made a bunch of commits, right? If you want to see, every commit will generate a unique commit ID, a hash code. If you want to see all of that, git log. See, 1, 2, 3, 4 commits I have done. Your name, I haven't configured my name, otherwise it will show the name timestamp Monday, September 4th, 8:27. commit message, everything it will show you, right? That's what is, every commit will generate a commit ID, a unique hash code. And if you want to see only the brief log, not a detailed log, git log one line. See, a brief log. Only first 6 characters are enough for every commit. You don't need everything else. First 6 characters. Commit message is important because after few months, if I see that, I could just understand something from this message. Okay, it's about first file, or else in real time, I would put like something like Terraform for EC2, something like that. A message will convey or inform you what this commit is all about a little later if you want to know or understand something, right? That's the log. Git log command will show you the commit history, the details of the commits you made. And remind you one more thing, we were still on local. Have we gone to remote? Not yet. Okay, we will go to remote maybe tomorrow. Like I said, we have to do many things before we go to remote, which would be GitHub. But before that, yes, these are the things we have. Yeah, we have seen delete, we have seen modifying the file, right? Shall we also say deleting a file? Yeah, like I said, a delete or a commit or modification are same with respect to Git. Okay, let's suppose I just want to delete this file. Maybe I have created a couple of files. Later on, I realize I don't want this file anymore. How do you do that? Git rm file one. Yes, git rm file name. So see, the file is no more at the back end. You can see it's gone. It was showing this way. It's no more, right? It's gone. Now I have made a change. That is also a change. See, it is saying changes to be committed. You made a change. You have to commit your changes. Git commit -m file deleted, file gone. Right? So now if you see the status, it would be clear, clean. Right? Any change, you have to commit your changes. It might be modification or deletion or whatever it is. So file is gone. How to get the file back, I'll show you in the next class. But before that, one more thing I'll show you. File is deleted, right? Let's suppose, okay, I would like to create one more file. Okay, I don't want to mess up this one. I'm creating one more file. Let's say file3.txt. Okay, some content like a new text file. See, keep the cursor. What is this file? Untracked. Do you see the difference? Because it's a new file, right? Because it's a new file, it would be showing like untracked, right? Commit means all your changes, whatever in the staging area, will be moved to local repository Vinay. What is commit doing? Whatever there in your staging area will be moved to local repository when you run the commit command. Means moving your changes from staging area to local repository. Okay. So now what we have to do? We have already learned this. What should I do? Add, right?
Yeah.
When you add, it tells you status is to be committed. See here, it was showing you index added. Now you commit, git commit -m new file. Just adding another file, that's all. Nothing new. Okay. Naming convention for what, Pavan? Naming convention on what? Revise the today's topics at the end. Some late joiners are there.
Creating files in Git.
Yeah.
Here
Yeah.
just for the using file 1, file 2 like that, right? In
Okay,
real
these
time,
files, see, these files depends. They see, like I told you, Git will be used by multiple people. Maybe let's suppose it's a Git repository for developers. They'll have their code, like they might be Python files, there might be their code, Java files. Their Java files will have different extensions, file names. That's a different part. For us, for a DevOps person, they will be Terraform files, manifest files. How to create Terraform files, manifest files, we'll see. So the same names you will put here. Yeah, that's about file name. And about these commits, you will put a reasonable commit message, a good commit message. Like I said, now let's suppose, okay, this is some Terraform file. I'll put, okay, this Terraform file is related to configuring the infrastructure, configuring EC2 instance, or configuring EKS cluster. A good commit message so that you will understand at a later point what this commit, what changes were there in this commit. That's all. File names, it depends on what content you have. Right? That's why I'm not giving any file name as of now, because we did not learn Terraform, we did not learn Kubernetes yet. We were learning managing the file so that you can manage any files. Just the name, file name differs, that's all. Okay. So this is about like creating the files, managing the files and the code base. So let me just give a quick recap of what we have done today. Please don't leave, session is not yet done. Just let me talk
Excuse me,
about.
ma'am, I have a question here. Do we have a single command for this for deleting the files?
Single command in the sense, see here deleting the file can be done with a single command. Here we are deleting from Git repository. Okay, Git RM file name will do.
Yeah, we have a single command for adding the files, right? Means modifying the files, right?
Git add dot will add all the dots. Add all the files.
We have a command like git commit -a -m. Is there any command similar to that for removing the files as well?
No. Add and commit you have, but for removing, no.
Okay.
See, you add and commit means you are moving to staging area and committing. So you have a command. Deleting is you have to delete a specific file. You cannot club that with add and commit.
Okay. And do we have notes for this?
We have it.
Okay, fine.
I'll show you. See, we have discussed about what is a version control system, types, architecture of distributed and distributed and centralized, and then we have discussed about architecture of Git, right? And then we did Git installation and Git basic commands like Git init, Git add, Git commit. That's all we have done, right? Git RM. We will discuss this also again tomorrow. We have seen that, but still we will discuss again. So today's concept, or today you have to concentrate on the Git architecture and what Git init does, what Git add, Git commit does. These are the things you have to concentrate today, right? Those are the main topics. And once like every day, like today's topic is done, I would suggest you in the last 10 minutes to go through this quiz. Questionnaire, a simple questionnaire. I'm sharing you it in the chat window. It's here in the website quiz portal. Quiz 1 is related to today's topics, like what is Git, what are the types, so that it will be a quick recap for you to revise and register the concepts better. I'm sharing you it in the Zoom chat. You can start taking it up today. Every day you will have a quiz for recap or for a kind of revision. Notes is there, Indresh. You have the notes available for all the registered students. We have already shared the notes. Okay, let me show you. Here is the notes. Okay, here is the complete notes available in the Git folder. And there's a question from Ravi. I have office from 9. Do we have offline videos of the class, or should I opt for offline course? Offline videos. You can go for the recording sessions, Raviraj. Self-paced videos were there with all the class recordings. You can also opt for it. You can connect with Raj on the WhatsApp directly for more information on that. Any more questions? Have you all started taking up the quiz parallelly, which I have posted in the Zoom? All the quiz portals, every day there will be a quiz. The class is done. You will also get a scenario-based questions as an assignment. As it is a beginning, today do the hands-on, install your Git and revise the recording class. You will get the hands-on scenario-based questions as we progress. Any more questions from anyone else?
Yeah, good morning, ma'am. This is regarding yesterday's class.
Yes,
Ma'am,
class
we'll
recording will
explain
be
the.
shared on the YouTube, Hari, and we'll be posting it in the WhatsApp group.
Hello.
Hi, one question actually. Like, hello, am I audible?
I could receive your answers in the quiz. So check your marks, evaluate yourself, retake the quiz, and be thorough on the concept. See, this is the right time to put your time and learn these things, because the market is picking up every day. Like openings were increasing day by day. In couple of months, this will go to a peak level. So this is the right time to get into the market. Chandan says, can we create a directory? 1 second. Chandan says we can create directory by command itself. Yes, Chandan, we can, but I did not teach Linux, so you can create from GUI. I will teach those Linux commands separately again. We'll have a separate session. Until then, you can create like you do in your daily life, just the GUI you can create, no problem. And also yesterday's video also I'm posting here. This is the playlist. Okay, this is the YouTube playlist. I'm also sharing that playlist link here. Okay, you will get all the videos here. 1 second, I'm sharing it again.
Hello, Preeti. Am I audible?
Any questions from anyone?
Yeah, yes, please. Can I put my question?
Have you all got the YouTube playlist link? Am I audible for all of you?
Yes, Preeti. Someone is asking you a question.
Hi, Preeti. Myself, Abhilash. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Abhilash.
Yeah, hi. Like, when I was just go through the portal, right, of yours, for example, when you're conducting like Git topic, and in the same time, you have posted topic wise interview questions, right? You would touch base that one also, or else it is our like it's left to us like we have to go through that. Like any important concepts with respect to interview point of view, you'll
Interview questions, all of them I'll be explaining you. Can you hear me?
yeah, you're audible now. Yeah.
Just give me 1 second, please. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah.
Okay, so interview questions, every interview question I'll be discussing in the class with respect to topic. Okay, wherever there is a scope of interview questions, I'll be explaining that. But still, there were so many other interview questions apart from the one I'm discussing. You can also go through them, and if you have any questions, you can get back to me on daily basis.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, good morning, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, this is regarding yesterday's class in which you were explaining about the CI/CD flow.
Yeah.
Ma'am, wherein this unit testing part comes, which is taken care by the developers, and wherein the Selenium part comes, wherein the tester checks the functionality of the application, ma'am. If you could clarify on that, that will be much more
In the
appreciated.
CI/CD part.
I just wanted
Hello?
to know. Yeah, I just wanted to know. One there will be the unit testing. By using if it's a Java code, the developers will take care of that unit testing part. And one more is the functionality testing. Wherein the testers, the QA team uses the Selenium and the other tools to test the application functionality, ma'am. How that comes.
Unit test cases will be written by developers. Okay, and the functional test cases, regression testing, all other test cases will be written by testers. Whatever it is, once test cases are ready, those test cases will be executed by the CI/CD pipeline by integrating the test phase there. Got it. How to integrate those phases, we will learn that. Means in CI/CD, let's suppose developers put the code there. Okay, the code will be pulled, build, and then execute the unit test cases, then go to the next phase, deploy to the next test environment, run the test cases there. That's how it continues in the CI/CD pipeline. All the level of test cases, all the level of test execution will be integrated into the CI/CD pipeline.
Ma'am, since you're explaining Git, developers will be having their Git repositories in which they will have the source code and the unit testing part. Similarly, the testers will have the test cases in their Git repository, and we as a DevOps will collaborate all those and will integrate that with the respective tools, and that's how the CI/CD works, ma'am.
Yes, yeah. We will connect, we'll create a CI/CD pipeline, the pipeline on those repositories. We will fetch the test cases from the respective repositories. Hello.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, that's
There
clear,
is
ma'am.
a repository where the code base is present, unit test cases are present, right? On this repository, we'll create the CI/CD pipeline. And let's suppose there is another test repository where you have functional test cases, right? We'll integrate that repository for those integration test cases. We'll have a CI/CD pipelines for different environments as well, like CI/CD pipeline for dev environment, CI/CD for stage, and so on. Accordingly, we'll connect with those repositories and we'll integrate in the pipeline.
And ma'am, what in case if we have a microservice kind of architecture wherein will regard each feature has a different project? Do we have a separate repos with respect to the various environments and with respect to the various teams, or it's a collaboration of all those things, ma'am?
It will be having a separate repository. Microservice, each microservice will have a separate repository where it will be built and deployed onto the Kubernetes cluster. All the microservices can be deployed onto the Kubernetes cluster. We will talk about it, okay, how to create those pipelines, CI/CDs. We are going to create the CI/CD pipeline for microservice application also.
And ma'am, in case of microservice, like for example, it will be a URL of that respective microservice and the context path, right?
Come again, please.
I mean, like for example, considering the example of IRCTC application in which you have the flights part, the trains part, and all. The end user will connect to this thing by using the main URL and the context path. Like for example, irctc.com/trains if it is for trains, irctc.com/hotels if it is for hotels. That is how it works, right?
Yes, that's called path-based routing, which we'll do in Kubernetes. Hello.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Path-based routing, how to put this path-based routing in Kubernetes, mapping it to the DNS, all of this will be covered. Okay, microservice deployment, each service deploying on a path-based routing on the same DNS subpaths, all of that will be covered in the Kubernetes. Okay, there is a question from Ravi. I want to upload multiple folders under one folder, like main or master, project one, project in one folder. You can have subfolders, Ravi. All those folders also can be added, like you add a files, like git add folder name. But the subfolder creation and all depends on how you want to manage your repository, manage your project. Generally, you will have one local repository, right? It's not that you put all other repositories in the same folder. One separate local repository for each project. Have you all submitted the quiz? Anyone submitted the quiz? And a question from Nagaraj. Are you showing how to deploy Kubernetes infra using CI/CD and deploying app into it? Yes, Nagaraj, we'll be covering that. Deploying Kubernetes, CI/CD pipeline, how to deploy onto the Kubernetes cluster with CI/CD, how to create Kubernetes cluster with the Terraform, all of that will be covered. Yes, I could see the results of the quiz. Whoever submitted, recheck your answers, whichever were incorrect, and retake the quiz. Okay, that's how you can evaluate on daily basis. Yes, Ravi. Like see, in Maven also it follows a different directory structure. You do git add and you add, you do git init and do git add dot. Dot means all the subfolders, all the files, everything will be added to staging area. Then when you commit, everything in the staging area will be committed. But one local repository with all the subfolders, not multiple local repositories in the same folder. Any more queries from anyone? All right, then that's all from my end. So go through the class recording, do the hands-on, install Git and try out. If you might be having some scenario in your mind, try out. Any questions, you can post it in the WhatsApp group. We'll be creating a separate WhatsApp group for all the registered students to interact for any queries and doubts. So
Ma'am, excuse me.
no shift in the timings. It will be the same timing. Branching strategy also we will be learning, Nihal. Yes. And Srikanth says, Hari, I don't know why people are hurried to know everything in one class. Please ask them to question on current topic. We are spending time here. Srikanth, that's fine. In the middle of the topic, I'll not take questions out of topic. But as we are done today, that's fine. They were posting questions on the upcoming sessions. These are all topics which we'll be covering as we go by. Okay. In the middle of the topic, let's not deviate. Put the questions related to the content. Once the session is done, you can post any questions out of the topic. All right, then. Thank you, everyone, for joining. See you all tomorrow. And like I said, any questions, post it in the separate WhatsApp group. See you all then. Thank you all.
Bye. Thank you.